This Baseplan Presents video features how to create a pro forma pre-delivery invoice, focusing on the following areas: creating a sales order, adding serialized and non-serialized stock items, creating a sales quote, generating a pre-delivery invoice, creating a customer invoice, and posting the sales order.
Okay, so I'm currently logged into Baseplan Enterprise, and so I've had a few people ask me about how to actually manage the process when you want to generate a pre-delivery invoice, or maybe you might call it a pro forma invoice. So when you've got a sales order and the customer is requesting an invoice prior to actually generating a formal invoice that's going to hit the general ledger, how you manage that process and how you can do it in Baseplan. So we're going to go into is the customer module. So under customers, we have our sales order module. So the sales order module is where we can actually add items in from our stock module or our inventory module, whether it be a serialized item or a non-serialized, like a part or some merchandise potentially. So if I go into sales orders, what we need to do is start off by creating a record on the header. So we might want to create a new sales order for Valaris. So if I go up to add new, and I can type in Valaris, it pulls through that customer's details. I can choose the site. I don't have to choose the site, but I can choose the site that we're actually sending this to as well. And then it will give me all the contacts that work at that particular job site. So I can say it's for Chris Nagy, for instance. And then once that information is put in there, all I need to do is hit save. So the rest of the information can be filled out. Most of it should be pre-filled automatically. Now, once I hit save, I can click on edit. And if I go down to the very bottom here, we can start editing the details for this particular sales order. So if I click on this edit section, you can see here it highlights on the item. So what we want to do is we want to add an item onto the sales order and then generate a pro forma invoice before we actually complete the sales order. So I can go down here and search for all of my items in the system, or I can also click on this magnifying glass, so the find button, and it'll give me like an advanced search function. So if I click on that, it'll give me all of my inventory items that are allocated to my warehouse, which is New South Wales. And I've got a few fields at the top here that is like a search criteria. Now, the one that I like the most is this enter text to search. The reason I like it is so if I start typing in, say, light, it'll bring back everything that relates to light in the system. So what I can do is I can choose, say, this top one, and it will give me the description. It'll let me know it's a part. It's not SN controlled, so it's not a serial numbered stock item. It'll show me the retail price, and it will show me the quantity available in the warehouses as well. And then we can set up various price points along the way. So what we can then do is, if I add this item in here, it'll basically want me to confirm the quantity that I might want to order, and then the quantity I might be allocated, and then it will pre-fill the price as well. So all I need to do is hit OK, and you can see here the quantity order gets updated and the quantity allocated gets updated. Now, if we did want to add a serial numbered item in here, we can do that as well. So you can see here the serial numbered item is blanked out at the moment. So if let's just say we wanted to add, let's do like a forklift, for example. If you were selling a forklift this fast on the fly, let's do this high start. So for example, the retail price is 25,000. I can see I've got some stock in here. I might want to back order it potentially, but let's just say we want to go along with this one. I double click on this, and we can see here that the serial numbered item opens up, and we can see all the different serial numbered items that I can actually allocate. Now I can do this later on, or I can do this now. So if I wanted to, I could choose this particular unit. And if I hit allocate, it pulls through the cost and the retail pricing, and I just hit save detail again. So we're at this point, And so we've got all the information added to the sales order, and then the customer says, hey, before we continue, can you please send me a pro forma invoice or a pre-delivery invoice? Or they might want a quote first, like whatever the sequence of events is. If they wanted a quote first, it's just as simple as you going up here and so it's gone up to the print button and clicking on print. And if I do that, it'll generate a quote and I can change the status. So you can see here, sales quote, adds the 2 lines in here, total amount, nothing to do with the general ledger at this point in time. I can email that out to the customer from here if I wanted to. If I go back, it'll let me know, did I want to change the status to quoted? So I can say yes. And did I want to deallocate the stock? So this is asking, because this is going into a quote status, did you want to put the items that you've quoted back into the warehouse to be available to be picked by someone else? I'm going to say no, because I want to keep it on this quote. So we've done the quote, and then maybe at that point now where they said, all right, yep, we've got approval, but we need to send an invoice to maybe a finance company or something along those lines where we need a pro forma invoice before continuing. So what we do is we go up to actions and we go to this create pre-delivery invoice. So if I click on this, we can see here, I can choose the customer that we're going to be sending this pre-delivery invoice to. So we might be just sending it to Valaris Construction like I'm doing at the moment. Or maybe you want to send the pre-delivery invoice directly to the finance company that's providing the asset finance potentially. So I can click OK. That will take the information on that sales order and give you a pro forma invoice like this, or a pre-delivery invoice, whatever terminology you use. It'll give me a tax invoice number which relates back to the sales order number, so they can be linked back together. Information's all there pre-filled. Again, I can email this out of the system if I wanted to. I can go back. Now, when we do this, you can see here, I'm just going to drag this over. It says, do you want to record this as a pre-delivery invoice? So if I say yes, it's actually going to record the pre-delivery invoice date and who it was sent to as well. So if I say yes, you can see here it records the date automatically, and then it shows me who the customer is that we sent the pre-delivery invoice to. All right, so once that's done, we can go to and fro with the customer, change things around as needed. Maybe they want a final invoice. I can just go up to actions. So remember, when it's in a quoted status, there won't be a button where someone can convert that to an invoice. You need to go up to actions and then go reopen. So if I click on reopen, say yes, you can see the status changes to open, and we can then click on the create invoice button. So once I do that, it will say 1 invoice will be generated, and I can go through and look at the invoice screen from here. So that'll take all the information on that sales order, convert it over to an invoice, and generate a customer invoice, and add all the details in there, deallocate the stock automatically, and it will post to the general ledger live. And yeah, that's the process. So it's pretty simple, but it is a good time saver in terms of not managing your pre-delivery invoices outside of the system. And yeah, hopefully that'll sort of help your process a little bit in sort of managing that engagement with your customers. All right, if you have any questions or ideas on future topics, please leave a comment in the section below, and hope to see everyone in the next Baseplan Presents video.